Greetings travelers and welcome to the Auf Haven guide. As of production of this video, the Auf Haven boss map behaves like in Aqua Road, so upon an eventual update which will convert the map to have the fly ability, this may or may not affect the reliability of this guide. Do take note, and without further ado, let's begin. Auf Haven is an endgame boss that is level 180, and any class that is level 175 and above, upon finishing the pre-quest, can enter the map and fight her. Let's go over each phase in chronological order. When you enter the map, there will be a black-haired Auf Haven. Let's call the black-haired ones clones. This clone is level 175, has 90 mil HP, and has Zombify, so bishops, be careful not to heal on this clone. She is weak against lightning and poison, strong against fire and ice, and has no immunity. Her touch damage is fairly low, however her magic attack is 5 to 6k, so if you are a melee class, stand on her body so you tank her low touch damage. Once the first clone is killed, Auf Haven will spawn in the middle of the map. I recommend having the pinner stand in the middle to pin her to the left, while the rest can stand by on the top right. Why on the left? I'll get to that later. Okay, this is Auf Haven. For clarity, we'll refer to her as the main one, well, by her pink hair. She is level 180, has 520 million HP, and has a touch damage of a maximum of 21.5k damage, and various other magic attacks which do 10 to 11k damage. She is weak against lightning and poison, strong against fire and ice, and has no immunity. So, first one we're going to take a look at is the Seduce, DR, and Global DP animation. When she puts her sword to her face, this can be 3 things. No wait, 4 actually. Let me explain. Every 30-second interval is a Seduce. It lasts for 5 seconds and can hit in between 1 to 6 people in the party. When seduced, you will walk to the right. Up next is the Damage Reflect, or DR for short. Every 60-second interval, she will cast a DR that lasts for 10 seconds and it does in between 15 to 16k. So please be very careful, it is lethal. Up third is the Global Dispel. Every 90-second interval, she will cast a Global DP and it is not attack based, so it will hit everyone in the map regardless. So mages, shadowers, do prepare to cast Magic Guard and Mesoguard before she does it. Finally, the 4th animation is actually her summoning the clones. We will get to that a little later. Let's take a look at some of her attacks. I would call this her Genesis skill. She will momentarily fly up and do a large area attack. It hits a little over 10k and under 12k damage. It is crucial to keep Auf Haven pinned on the left as much as possible. If she is all the way to the left corner, the Genesis will not hit if there's players on the far right. So if you have a bishop, that is something to take note. When she flies up, paladins can use the Heaven's Hammer skill, and range attackers, if your mobility is good, you can jump once or twice and get a couple shots in as she's floating. Up next is the Sword Ultimate. She will kind of charge up and do 3 slashes. The last big slash stuns you. Damage wise seems to be similar to the Genesis, which is a little bit over 10k and under 12k. For melee folks, you can actually avoid its stun most of the time as her hitbox will kind of walk towards you, so you will tank her body damage as she does it. So make sure your HP is relatively full when you see her charging up her attack. Range folks should take a step back to the right when you see her doing that. She also does a short and quick sword slash. This one hits a little bit lower, less than 11k give or take. This attack hits a bit over 5k, however it has a chance of flinging you across the map, so it can be annoying for rangers. I've saved the best for last. Auf Haven will cast this skill often, and when hit, it will dispel you. Fortunately, it doesn't hit too hard, it's a little bit over 1k. Once again, for mages and shadowers, do prep your guards and press it ASAP once you get hit by it. The blue orb seems to be proximity based. I notice if many party members are on the far right, it's almost as if Auf Haven can sense that and will start to use the orbs very often. So try to stay in the middle of the map or closer to the left after every seduce. Now, on to the summons. Auf Haven will summon clones in 3 different waves. One when she's at 80% health, a second wave at 60%, and a final wave at 40%. The first wave has 3 clones, the second one has 1 clone, and the third wave also has 3 clones. So let's take a closer look at the first wave's clones. So, these black hat Auf Havens are clones, and it is crucial to kill the clones as fast as possible. For my runs, I have each attacker use 3 apples in a run, and only use them at the start of every clone wave. In this clone wave, each clone heals the main Auf Haven as well as themselves 1 million HP every minute. So if there are 3 clones, they heal 3 million every minute. The first wave, the clones will spawn on the top of the map. There are 3 of them and they each have 50 million HP. They also hit for roughly 7k. So first thing, importantly, one member has to be on pin duty for the main Auf Haven while the rest fight the clones. Preferably a Buccaneer would work, but any of the 3 warriors can do the job as well. Now, you might be thinking, cleave and fight all 3 together, right? That would be the case if your party has only melee attackers. As long as you can outdamage its heal per minute, which is 3 million at the start, you can pin them all in a corner and cleave. However, if you have range attackers like a bowman or a night lord, you will have to go with another strategy. This method gives range attackers a way to fight the clones as well. So what my squad has done is we'll pick one clone, preferably one that your single DPS skill would prioritize, rush it to the right side, and keep the 2 clones floating on the left while everyone fights that one single clone. During this wave, bishops can jump down to the platform on the bottom right and dispel the clones as they have defense up, which can be a damage block. If you have a hero in your party, you can actually fight it on the left side, so the bishop in the party doesn't have to risk flying to the left, which can be dangerous. So why to the left side? Well, since heroes can use the armor crash to dispel the defense up, the bishop doesn't have to dispel the clones, which can be a bit safer due to seduce making you walk to the right, away from the clones. However, you do have to keep a lookout for when the main Auf Haven is on damage flag and floats up to do her genesis. If you don't stop attacking, your attack might hit her and you will take DR damage. So yes, take down each clone one by one, and once the first one dies, rush one of them to the other side and continue attacking till all 3 are dead. Now for the second wave. In this wave there is only 1 clone, however she will be on the ground. This clone has 100 million HP, hits about 7k or so, however this clone heals 5 million HP every minute. For this wave, we will be fighting this clone in the middle, but a bit more to the right, somewhere over here. The bishop will have to stand on the top right and will only come down when the clone is on defense up to dispel, as well as taking note that the global dispel timer is not too close. Range attackers can stand on the far right and shoot. This clone is a bit more dangerous as it has DR, and it will begin when she's at 60% health. It hits 5 to 6k and has a 60-second interval. For the third wave, it's very similar to the first wave actually, so you can follow the same instructions as the first wave. The only difference between the two is that the clones in the first wave will cast darkness, and the clones in the third wave will stun instead. Yeah, I think that's about it for the clones. Now for some tips and tricks. After your seduce is over, melee folks which can tank his touch damage can actually utilize the platform on the bottom right to teleport to the left. These platforms will warp you to other ones around the map. For me, I use this platform once, so it lessens my walking time. Warriors and Buccaneers can avoid the blue orb's dispel by very quickly rushing to the Auf Haven's body. When you get hit by her touch damage, the orb will not hit you, and you can continue attacking. For Bishops, I would suggest you guys keep the 30-second seduce timer interval, and whenever Holy Shield is up, just float down and use it on your party before Auf Haven seduces you guys. A better combo is if you have a Shadower in the party, use Holy Shield and Smoke Screen together. You will have 45 seconds of uninterrupted free fire. During Clone Waves 1 and 3, the ranged attackers can actually position their characters on this area and jump and shoot. I would not recommend standing on the edge of the platform unless smoke is up, or if you have high HP, because when Auf Haven seduces you, you will end up walking to the right and tanking the physical touch damage of the clones, which will hit you pretty hard, since seduce lasts for 5 seconds, so if your HP isn't high, just jump and shoot. Hopefully with the fly mechanic coming in the future, ranged attackers can just stay in position and shoot without bothering to jump. During Clone Waves 1 and 3, Buccaneers that's on pin duty can momentarily fly up and corkscrew blow the two floating clones so that they will get aggroed to the Buccaneer and will be less likely to float to the right. This only applies if the squad is fighting the clones on the right side. Another thing Buccaneers can do during the pinning phase is to use Barrel before Auf Haven seduces. Based on my observation, she will lose aggro on the Buccaneer and stop all attacks and follow the Buccaneer. This is relatively safe, but once your seduce is over and you're out of the barrel, immediately corkscrew her back to the left ASAP. When you are seduced and walking to the right, as long as Auf Haven is on the far left, once your character walks past the middle of the map, you are relatively safe from danger already, as the only attack that can hit you is the blue orb, and it does 1k-ish. Keeping track of timers, since there's 3 timers, 30 seconds for seduce, 60 for DR, and 90 for dispel, I recommend having each member being assigned to one timer and giving warnings when it's about to happen. Mages and Shadows can keep track of the global dispel, Pinners can keep track of the DR timer, and Bishops can keep track of seduce. For me, I will usually repeat the words DR coming soon 3 times, somewhere 10 seconds before the timer, and I will say DR anytime 3 times again when the timer hits. This will prep your squad members to slow down and stop when the DR comes. For the first 30 minutes of the run, due to the in-game timer being more than an hour, I recommend pulling up the stopwatch program on a Google tab and keeping track of that. Due to the timer being only visible to you, the timer commander, the number you type out is for your reference only, and it's your duty to ensure that you call out timers early. Once the in-game timer reaches 59 minutes, you can start using the in-game timer to track your seduce, global dispel, as well as DR timers. Now, to share with you some possible lethal scenarios. If you get seduced during the first or third clone wave and you are close to death, and if your bishop is also seduced, yeah, you should use Hero's Will. Another one would be the stuns and seduce combo. When this happens, well, just count your prayers and hopefully you're not too near her and just mash the Hero's Will and potion button. In this clip, our squad wasn't so lucky. She walked onto us as it happened and it killed 2 of my folks. For Shadowers that don't have high enough base HP, do keep a distance away from Auf Haven when it's close to the global DP timer. If she were to do an attack that stuns you and then dispels you, you are in a very dangerous spot. For Bishops, if a seduce happens and it did not hit you, you can prep to fly down and heal your party members if their HP is near danger. Do refrain from doing this during the second clone wave, as she has Zombify. During the second clone wave, melee attackers can tank the clone's body while attacking. This way, the blue orb will not hit you and you won't get dispelled. I don't have footage of this scenario, but picture this. Say for example, after the second clone wave, your bishop and say another pinner dies and there's no one for pin duty and no dispel for the defense up. In a last ditch effort, you can choose to avoid fighting the third wave's clones and let them float around. continuing to fight the main Auf Haven. Since she's at 40% health and the clones heal for 3 mil per minute, you can apple a little more and focus all damage to Auf Haven. Do note that the fight gets a little bit more dangerous as the clones will continue to stun you. So yeah, this is how I do my Auf Haven runs, and should you follow everything in this video, you will end up defeating her and she drops some interesting loot. Of course, the Auf Haven circlet, which is a 10 slot helmet and gives stats as low as 18 and up to 22. She also drops every type of flag wraith, including the Judgment Gun, Element Pierce, and Yellow Snowshoes. She often drops pouch trees also, and all 4 different types of the circlet scrolls. Thank you for watching this long video. Hopefully this will give you some insight as well as prep you for your first fight. And good luck in your fight! You're going to need it.